It is, I'll give you the number, Patty, because that will probably help. I'll put it on the sheet for all the stencils we're using this week, because it'll be on that sheet. But this is 7, hold on, let me get my eyes working. 7178 is what it says. I think colored 1. Okay, thank you, Tracy. Okay, I just thought vintage would be different since you already can see that sample, but we will absolutely do the colored. So this is our, this is what we can do. So I already did this one, so we'll do one of these 3, I guess, is what we'll do. You're welcome, Patty. So thank you, I'm glad you like them. It would be nice to see the colors that you use. I will tell you this on the vintage one, even though I pitched it aside here. My idea for it was going to be, I'm going to like almost watercolor these carrots, like just have that little hint of color in it, and to kind of pull the orange in. I thought that would be fun. This bunny cracks me up. So I was going to do that. So if you do that, that might be an idea for you. You might want to just watercolor a little bit. You can watercolor, you can use a watercolor pencil and then kind of use some water and spread it out. Hang on. Let me see if my pencils, I might have moved them. I was going to use a pencil and show you, but I don't know what I did with them. I feel like I say that all the time. I had them the other day, and I must have actually put them up, which is scary to think about. But I actually put them up. But you can also just use paint. But you can just add a little bit of orange and then just kind of just real lightly, you know, spread it out. So that was my idea for that, because I think it's fun to add like just like that hint of color. So let me see. So I'm gonna get a little bit of water with it and water it down. So this one already has a tad of color in it. But you can just put it on one side and then kind of just kind of put it down, and then get your brush wet and then just kind of work it with the water in your finger. And this is on the fabric side, so if it's on the printed side, it'll move super easy. But I just try to move it with my finger across there. And you can just add like a little bit of color and then put some little, like follow the lines across or whatever. But you're just like lightly colorizing something. Sometimes that's fun to do. It just adds a little bit of color to that. I like black and white photos sometimes where they'll like put something one color in it. I think that's fun. But that's just an option. I just thought I would show you that. Okay, so let's go to the colored one. The colors for the colored one are already on your sheet. So this is all the colors that I used for the one we're doing tonight. So the vintage, I was going to mix something to match, which I'm not even for sure what that would be. So I love the vintage brownie from last year. If you did not get the vintage printable from last year, check it out because it is so cute. It really is. Okay, so we are going to use burlap. That is not burlap. We're going to use burlap and light buttermilk mixed together is what we're going to do. And that's how we're going to do the background and the top. Your top piece is 5.5 inches in length, and this bottom one is 12. So we are going to add some buttermilk, light buttermilk, and burlap to kind of get the color that we want. I just didn't have a good color for that, so I just mixed the two. And you can, you know, make it creamier or whatever. You can use whatever color you want. You can do whatever you want, Monica. You can do the greenery if you want, but there's not a whole lot of greenery on there. It would kind of be hard to do because this one has a little bit of green on it already, but they're just pretty sparse. You can see that the tops are really sparse. I was just going to colorize the carrot, and you don't even have to do that at all, but I just thought that would be a fun little wisp of color in there. It's kind of fun to do. Okay, so here we go with this. So you can just paint this. You can base paint it black if you like black, or just all dark brown, and then stencil your letters in light colors. There's so many options, but I just chose to do keep it pretty neutral with the colors that I had. Let me move that back. Like with the colors in my print. Sorry, I was trying to think and read and move that at the same time. So I'm basically just doing this color. I already sealed my little knots and have it all ready to go. And I just painted my whole thumb. Look at that. Just gave it a paint. But I just painted it, and then I'll show you how I kind of grunged it up just a tad. I was gonna say, I don't know though. I was gonna say maybe if I got time tomorrow, but I don't know if I will. We could maybe do the vintage one tomorrow. I don't know. I would have to see how time goes. But maybe we could do it another day, because it's just hard to fit everything in. All the ideas, and it's so hard to fit in. And so I'm just going to give these pretty quick coats because we need to keep moving. Not that it's a huge project tonight, but still, I do not want to keep you forever. So these I've also, hello. I put blocker on those little knot things. It is hard. I told Mark today, I said, I need a 2x8. I had to go, like I said, get my hair done, and then he was going to Lowe's for something, and he had some errands he was running, so I said, I need a 2x4, like my 2x4 stash is getting low. I have some, but they're already cut to certain lengths that I try to keep stuff cut up in my stash. So I need some longer pieces, and I said, I don't have any more 2x8s. I need like a 2x8. He said they were terrible, that he looked and looked and could not find one that you would even be able to paint on. So I don't know. He'll probably go to the other Lowe's across town, and then from there, Home Depot, I guess. But sometimes it's like that. It is so hard sometimes just to get a really good piece of wood. So sometimes if there's like a big imperfection knot or something in it, you can seal it. But if I'm using a wood cutout or a printable over top of it, like I kind of try to gauge that when I'm cutting it, and then it won't matter. But still, it's just hard to get a good piece of wood. Okay, so we will let that one dry. Okay, so while we're drying that, decide what you want to do with that, or do you care? You just want me to pick? I can do Snack Patch Blend, Meadow Munchers, or Crunch a Bunch. Which one suits your fancy? Let me see if someone, whoever says something first. Let me see. I like that burlap mixture too. I'm sure there's a paint color of that color, but I can't find it. So I just kind of mix the two. I love to mix paints, which is good some days, and some days it's not. Like if you have to go back and match something and you've mixed up a concoction, that's not always that great. Okay, I saw Meadow Muncher twice. That's the only thing I saw, so that's what we're gonna go with. Let's do Meadow Muncher. So let me give these, that is still wet. Let me paint the end of this one, smush that in there. That one's dry. The back of this one. And I don't think it always has to be, I mean, I try to give it a good coat and all that, but like when you kind of dry brush over them and spatter them and all that, sometimes it just doesn't show up as much as you, like I mean, sometimes I feel like I over coat, which just wastes time and paint, but you can see where I have like, it's almost a little shiny spot where I dab stuff over my knot holes. So let me get this and we'll cut Meadow Muncher out. It has rained cats and dogs here this afternoon and this evening. Oh my goodness. I can't hear it right now, so I don't know if it's still raining. My goodness. It's raining so hard. And we walk Hank religiously, like 3 times a day, at least. In the winter, it's 3 times. In the summer, it's more. But we have woods and trails and all that. You've heard me say that. I do my walk talks. I do my lives a lot, or my stories a lot of times that I post is when I'm out walking Hank in the woods and stuff. But all I just keep going, like, it was raining so hard when he should have went out right before supper. And I'm like, you're just going to have to go out and use the bathroom and come back. I was just like, it was just blowing and raining. And I'm like, I am not even going to try to navigate that with an umbrella. Mark was downstairs, so I just like, just go out. This one I'm going to have to swipe again because my knot holes, where you do try to cover them, it always has to be covered again. So I'm trying to get that dry enough that it will take paint over it and not come back off. All right. Here we go. That should be good. Set that aside. Okay, let me get my scissors. So I keep these just for printables. You've heard me say that. I think you hear me say everything 100 times. But I definitely try to keep those so they're sharp, and just I try to kind of designate them. Kind of like, you know, your good fabric scissors. You just use them on fabrics. But these are Singer brand, which I think Walmart carries Singer too. I got them at Joann's. They were not expensive at all. And, but I thought, I know they aren't the best. Like, they aren't like, you know, my really good scissors. But at the same time, I'm like, they will work well for this. They have long cutters. What are they called? Shears? I don't know. They're long, like longer than my other ones. So you can just, I just think I missed that. I'll have to retrim that. But you can put these on a 1x4 and tuck them in with something down in a arrangement or whatever, or you can put it on a 2x4. so it's freestanding. Like I said, you can use it by itself. That would be cute, dropped down in a cellophane bag and like tied with a little orange ribbon at the top, and gifted in a, you know, with something, a little plate of cookies or whatever. Like, that's fun to do stuff like that, I think. So that will be our top. Now, you can use a gathered twig or like vintage photo, walnut stain. Any of those will work really well for to do the edging. So we're going to distress the edging just a little bit. And I don't want that big one. I just had a small one. There it is. So we're just going to kind of do that while we're waiting on our paint to dry. So I love to do that on all of the printable stuff. It just finishes the edge off nicely. So I just kind of go up and around and kind of always make it a little wider swoop of circle there in the corner. And then come around curved and then straight across. And just go down the other side. Now, the other thing that I did on my other printable, I was looking at it and I think, it has some, I put some spattering. I did that by hand. I went in and put spatters, but I should have like put a little shading in the corner. So I took my little blending brush and kind of shaded my inside area too. Where's my baby wipe? I'm going to get my finger wet and kind of smudge that a little bit. And bring it down. There. So that is all ready to go on our block. So before we put it on our block there, we're going to make it look better. Do a little work to it. I'm trying to see which side is the best. Goodness gracious. It's still not all the way dry. Let me see if this is dry. I think this one's ready. Alright, so I'm going to put my distressing ink up, and we're going to use a chip brush tonight, and we're going to use, I did not have a ruler. I can't find my ruler and I needed long, so I took this yardstick a while ago and broke it in half. I was like, well, that'll work. That will work. So, that's why it's broken. So, I'm going to space these, like on the ones we did the other night were kind of wide. So I'm going to space these a little closer together. So my slats are longer, or littler. Now, if you are worried that you're not going to take it across there straight, like you can just kind of wing it. But if it bothers you, like if you're like, oh gosh, I get going and I get whopper jaw, you can always use the tape method. This is pretty fresh paint too. So I hope I don't take it up, like take my paint back up. But you can also do this if you're worried that like I just don't know if I can get it across there straight. So I'm going to show you this way. You can just use painter's tape. So, like, lay down this one, which will give you a straight edge to lay your next one on, and then just take that one up. And then we'll reuse that in a minute. But that'll kind of give us a line to go by. So we'll still use the ruler, but that definitely gives us a good edge. So it might not worry you. You might be like, I I think I can wing it across there, and it's probably would be fine if I did that. But about the time I don't do it, I would be cockeyed as all get out on live. Okay, so now I'm going to take espresso, and we're going to pull some lines across there. So I'm going to wet that angle brush just like we did the other night. And I am going to move that one. Okay, so we're just going to dip that angle in there, and then I'm going to kind of, I need to pull it on a baby wipe. So just kind of pull it, set it down. Actually, I'm setting the whole edge. I said the angle, because the point, because I'm so used to doing that with the angle shader. But we're going to go on each side of this tape line. So that gave us our straight. So now we're just going to, that's just going to help us guide the brush and keep it straight. And some of our lines will be thicker and bolder, and that's fine because we'll sand those, because that just adds to the look, like when you sand a little bit. So like it's wider right there, that's fine. And then we're going to turn it up and line our tape up, and then do the same thing this way. And I'm going to bring it back. I'm setting the heel of the brush, this end down, and pulling it across. Okay, so now when we have that, you can pick this up. That one's really wide down there. And I scrunched it up. I didn't mean to. But you can then just, you know, like go right on. Just use that as your guide. And then just move right on down the board. Sometimes that helps, you know, kind of keep you straight when something's longer. Like if it's short, you don't really worry about it because you just have such a short distance. But sometimes when something's longer, I can think I'm straight the whole time and then get done and pull it off. I've buffalo plaited stuff so many times and done that, like pull it up and be like, well, holy moly, that's not straight. And it looked it the whole time I was doing it, but then it wasn't. So that's just a tip if you want, if you want to tape it to make sure it's completely straight. I'm leaning way over here trying to keep my head out. So this part is not so fun, but I love the dry brush part with the chip brush. That's the fun part. Okay. So we've got some pretty decent lines there. So now we're going to take a piece of sandpaper and we're just going to whittle those down, some of those down. And that really makes it kind of look just more aged. Some of them I want to take down quite a bit, you know, like to make them really faint. And some of them I don't. If you're not using tape, or you can do it as soon as you pull it up, you can also blend it down with your finger and take out some of the paint as you're right after you get done. And then we're, let me dry this a sec because I got it wet. Lost a little bit of paint right there when I'm sanding because my paint is not all the way dry. I'm rushing it. Okay, so now we'll do our dry brushing put put our lines in there. Okay, so I'm going to use a chip brush. If I can find it. Okay, so we're going to use that the same way we did it the other night. We're just going to come in with a chip brush, just a cheap old, they're just called cheap chip brushes, and they're just cheap as all get out. But just let it pick up on that edge. I think I need more paint. I need some white, some green, a tad of gray. Well, actually, I don't have to have gray. I could probably just use the green, but okay, here we go. And we're not going to put any lines on the top piece, but we are going to use the chip brush on it. So just lay it down and pull it, and then like I'll see a line right there. I'm going to lay it up on its side so it's up and down, and I'm going to kind of pull it so it kind of goes more out the line a little bit, if I'm making sense saying that. Kind of like that. And then just brush it all the way across. And then we'll reload and do the other end. To get the top, just go across it. I'm just pulling it one way or the other. Okay, now I just reloaded and then gonna get some down this way. Turn it on its end where those lines are in the corners. And then you can kind of swipe it in the middle there if you want it heavier. But you're just ending up with just like you're just distressing it, making it look more like an old piece of wood. Kind of like a old piece of wood that they painted on out by a crate full of hand-pulled carrots. So we're doing the ends the same way, like just brush over it, and it just takes the rawness off of it. Still didn't get enough. We're not done with the front. I'm just trying, well, I've got brown in here, just doing all the things. So on the back, we're going to do the same thing. We aren't pulling lines on the back, but I'm still going to pull that brush across there. And I'll probably put some carrots across the back of this. We have a cute carrot stencil. I won't do it tonight, but I will do that. But that just looks so much better than just plain. So this is plain without any dry brushing, and then you dry brush it a little bit and it just looks swell. Okay, so this is the top piece. So with this, that's all we're going to do to it, is kind of just let the edge pick up. And you're not going to see a good portion of that, but you will see some of it. But I just go ahead and drag my brush up and down it anyway. I'm going to pull it down from the top, and then the print will come in here and cover a good bit of that up. But we're going to stipple some green up there as well. But I do think the farmhouse stripe would be good to use. And then like the bottom, you know, like your ends always look kind of rough. I just dry brush over them, and it just kind of pulls it all together. And then you can just do your printable. Okay, I'm going to dry this off, and then I'm going to get another one, and I'm going to go in with some white. I really wanted to do white last. Let me think a minute. I guess I can go ahead and swish some white. I'm just going to put a few streaks here and there, because it really does add a little bit. You don't have to do it up here, but you can if you want. It's not as important up here. Well, good grief. Especially not that much. But you can add a few little swooshes here and there. I don't really want it to pick up on the edges. I just want it some through the middle and places. It's just a little streak of it. Okay, and then we're going to pick up a little gray, same brush. I'm not wiping it off or anything. Same thing. Just get in the gray, and I'm doing the same thing with it. It just hits a few places, and it just builds. Then on the sides and ends, I just hit it wherever. Like I'm just winging it totally. Put a little bit here and there. I don't give much thought to it. So now the brush that we had the brown in, I'm going to get in that lush green. And we are going to add a little bit of it. And it's going to kind of help it look like that little aged wood that's just got maybe a little bit of moss coming on it. So I'm going to stipple a little bit, just kind of a few little places, and I'm going to pull some places. So I want one kind of more solid on this end, like to pull it. Now, if you don't like the green, just skip it. Do the old skipperoo and don't do it. But I liked just adding that in there. I thought it was fun to add a little bit of that color in there. Just personal preference though. But the Printable has the green in it, and it kind of, I thought it kind of looked neat. I guess it kind of made me think of an old piece of wood that you'd have on a crate that's been sitting outside or something, and it would have a little bit of green to it, I guess. So I'm going to do a little bit on the back, but not much. Just here and there. Now on the top piece, we're going to kind of stipple that. I'm going to kind of do that on the sides. So like if you just bounce it a little bit, it just adds a little bit of that color. And then you can brush it a little bit. But it's fun to kind of stipple right on the edges. Okay, then that has our top piece all ready to go. So now we're ready to stencil. And I did not spatter this one yet, but I need to. But anyway, that kind of finishes it off as always. The spattering looks great. And some of this stuff, it is fun with this kind of stuff to add a little bit of cinnamon, just like put some matte Mod Podge and then add some cinnamon. And that makes it look neat and grungy. And then, but you can also go totally different. You can add the rock candy glitter to these and make them, that looks really pretty too, even though it's, like it's not just for Christmas, like it looks really pretty. Like, you know, you pick up a lot of Easter stuff and it'll be kind of glittery, like a little, some of those Easter prints and stuff will have like a really pretty glitter to them. And it's fun to use it on those. Like you would just do it a few little places for highlights, like maybe a little bit up here, or, I don't know. But that's really fun to do. So, all right, so the stencil is super easy and it just fits right on there. Right, I'm turning this up and letting this top of the stencil sit flat on my table and the top of my 2x4. And the reason why I'm doing that is because that puts it straight on my board, because sometimes with 2x4s, like one end will be really rounded and the other's not. And that's how my other board was. And it ended up being, it looked like it was lined up because I was lining it with the straight edge, but it was kind of rolled. So, okay, so you can use brown, and then I use green. That's how I did mine. You can use orange. Do you want to use brown and green and orange, because we could also like do the hand pulled in orange instead of the green. What are your thoughts on that? We'll do the fresh carrots in brown, but what do you think about the hand pulled? Do you think like an orange and then kind of dry brush some brown on it to keep it dark enough, or do you think the green is good? I'm going to add just a tad of black to my espresso because I want that just a little bit darker, not actually even that dark. That's too dark. I don't know. Hand pulled in orange or green? What is your thoughts? I look up, Diane says, I like the green. So there's an orange. I see orange. I think the orange would be nice to be pulled across. Oh, I didn't think about pulling the orange across. I was kind of more thinking the mossy look of green. Well, hang on, I've got my printables and everything on top of my stencil brushes here, and I need to get them out. Okay. All right, so we'll do the brown, and we'll see. Okay, now I've got this all, I got this all straight, and now I have to redo it. Okay. So, super simple to do these big letters, and they're really easy to fill as well. Woo. Hang on, Bessie. So I'm just loading my brush and offloading it. Well, I can hear it is pouring the rain again. Good night. We may have to hook up the boat. Since Hank missed his last walk, I thought, well, I'll do a scent game with him, like hide these little scent things under, or like treats under these little cone things. But he's zonked out over here right beside me. He hasn't even moved. He's like, he is zonked out. So maybe he's not even caring that he didn't get his other walk. Maybe he's just taking a rainy day rest. So we'll have to go over these again. So I looked up and just caught something about wedding work. I'm assuming that was something to Tracy's. You like the green, orange, orange, orange. Let me see. I could do orange at the top and fade it into the green. I could do that. Actually, that would have been fun to do on the big letters, but I think the little letters will be too small. They're kind of small. I don't know if it would have a big impact is what I was thinking. You know what would have, that would have been pretty to put the green at the top, like a carrot top, and then fade into the orange, maybe? I don't know. That could have been fun. Maybe we'll have to try that on another live, but that would be fun. I don't know if it would work. It might end up looking terrible. I don't know how well it would blend, but it sounds kind of interesting. Then you could have done the hand pulled in brown. I should have dried that just to make sure it was dry, and I just started right back over it because I was thinking about that orange and green. You almost threw me off track there. wish I could just read all the comments, but I need to keep my head down too. What's a debacle you guys are talking about? See, this is why we just need to all have a sit down together and craft and yap and talk, because I feel like I'm missing half of the stuff y'all are saying. And you guys are just in a whole different conversation and I can't join in. If we ever met somewhere, did a meetup, and ate or did whatever, we would have to have a room because we'd be cracking up, I'm sure. Being loud. Okay, I think we've got that good. We'll dry brush it, but we can do that afterwards. Definitely do that afterwards. Whoa! That ain't the one I want. I really don't say ain't, like in regular. I was just being silly. That isn't the one I want. Okay, so we don't have very many bridges to fill here. Well, this is the one I ruined. But we do have a few. I know this probably isn't a great idea, but I like to sometimes just fill it in and then tap it with my finger, but that one was still wet. Wet from where I already had done it. Let's see. Yeah, there's not too many to fill on this at all. Alright, I don't know who won out on the orange and the green. We can try orange since it's something different, if you want. I think I saw someone write that since you already saw the green, we could do the orange. Which is true. And then we'll dry brush over those, and then that'll be all done. Now, lay that aside and get this brush. So you can, I didn't do this on my other one, just realized that. So do some underneath and some up the sides. Okay, it's quiet all of a sudden. I quit talking and it's dead quiet, except for the rain. All right, and then, whoops, we can, well, for Pete's sake, I don't know what I did with my baby wipe I had. We can dot those letters. So I did them in orange, but if we do the orange down here, I think I'll just switch it up and dot in green. We'll just really switch it up, huh? Okay, so that's good. Alrighty, so now let's get our orange out. So I think orange, and then if we darken, well, no, because it's too little to darken. We'll see. We'll just see how it comes out. It's pretty little. It's pretty little writing. Let's line this up here. Well, for Pete's sake. Okay, So we'll give this a whirl and see what happens. I kind of bounce that since it's, and I suspect it might look a little bright, but we will tame it down. I could have added brown paint to it, but I can also just dry brush it. Yeah, it looks a little bright. I just fling stuff everywhere when I'm live. You should see when I get done. I'm always like, have stuff everywhere. Oh my goodness. Okay. So if I feel like I have a lot of paint, a little bit too much paint in my brush, I'll just kind of go up and down with it until I get some of that paint worked out. I like to go heavier at the bridges a lot of times. And then I can swirl again. Yeah, it's a little bright. Oh, it's not as bad as I thought. I kept looking at it going, wow, that's bright. That's going to be bright. It's not too bad. It ain't that bad. Alright. So I was going to dot in green, but maybe I should just ignore the green since I brushed it on. Since I brought the green in here and there's green up here, I could dot in orange too and just do the whole thing. Maybe that would be better. What do you think that would? I think that might be good. Maybe. I said this is going to be an easy project tonight and not take long, and here we're already taking long. Or I'm already taking long. I guess I could have base painted ahead of time. I don't even know why I didn't do that, come to think of it. Whoa. Let's see, we have our D down here. Yeah, so this whole stencil doesn't really have many bridges. Not many. Okay, so, and that was super easy to fill in. So now I'm going to do the tops of my letters, just because I like that. Because I want to. That was Noah speaking, because I want to. I just like the way it looks. That's going back. That's going some old school there, where we used to slash everything, and gosh, it was so fun. Sand everything, stain everything after you got done, you know, all the fun stuff. Tracy, I hope your wedding isn't outside, which I think it is supposed to get nice for the weekend, nicer anyway. But, goodness, it's going to be saturated, isn't it? Okay, so what do you think about the orange? And should I just do the orange dots? Burnt orange. My mom had burnt orange hobby or countertops. I love red spice. It's one of my favorite oranges. And I like cinnamon stick too. It's even browner. But I love red spice. I like to use it on noses all the time. So, let's get a dry brush. Let's get a white one, first of all. So we're going to... So we can do it without the stencil on. Sometimes I use the stencil, but since our background's light, we can get away with that light. You could use white or buttermilk for this. This will help blend your bridges too. So I have a bridge right there and a bridge right there. I just kind of go over it. It kind of helps hide them if you didn't do a good job at it. we'll just give those a little bit of a dry brush. And then I think down here, now I'm just going to go in the brown. I'm not going to change brushes or anything. I'm just going to scoot some brown in there. And I was thinking I'd just go over. Let me get the stencil. I could actually just use the stencil, put the stencil in a little bit of brown, the stencil brush in a little bit of brown. But we can do this too. If you want to kind of, you know, tone that down a little bit. It's kind of like it's got a dimmer switch on it. It's a little bright. Or it looks like it needs a dimmer switch. Maybe I should say it that way. So, I guess you could add a little brown to the paint before you start, and that would probably work just as well. So, okay, I am going to, I was going to use green, but now I just keep looking at it, and I think, you know, I think I'm going to use, I think I'm just going to use the orange, and just keep all that orange down there, and just the green, so a little bit of a highlight on the board, just a mossy highlight. I think that's the plan, Stan. Hank just let out a big sigh. He's probably tired of hearing me talking. He's probably like, woman, come up for here. I love dotting letters. I just think it's fun. There we go. So that is our orange version, and this is our green. Of course, this one has more green pulled in the, maybe that's upside down for you. So, there went my dots. Not really, it's fine. That scared Hank. It's okay, Bob. So, I don't know if green or orange looks better, but that's how we did it. Okay. Hey, it's okay. He went and got my slipper sock thing. House slipper thing. Okay, so here is my printable. Of course, we need the ribbon and stuff at the top, and we need to put it on, but where's my farm stripe? So I was thinking that this would look cute up the side. I think that would look really cute. What do you think? What you think? Hank, I can't let you out right now, bud. You have to wait. I'm trying to see if I get that centered. Well, I don't really have a green brush. Whoops. I'll just do one side because, for time's sake, but I do want to try. I'm going to kind of go up and down because, instead of swirling, because just how I'm holding it and the edge kind of rolls over there, so. Use my fat little fingers there so I can get in. Tap, tap, tap. Maybe I should have used orange here. I don't know. We'd have a lot of orange going on maybe. I think the green's good. I'm trying not to move it. Hold on. I gotta reload and I was out of paint. Okay. So this will give us the gist of it anyway. I think it probably needs another coat of paint more than likely, but once that, we'll dry brush that a tad too. And then once it gets spattered, I think it'll be pretty. Just throw a little white in there and kind of dry brush that line. You could even sand it a little bit, but I think that's cute. I like that stripe on there. And then this would be here. Now, if you wanted to put your bow on top and you didn't want it around here, you could cut this block shorter so the seed packet just fit on it, and then you could put like your bow on top instead. So, but I like that. I like it. I like it. So I just like to use the permanent UHU stick, and it holds it just great. It is so much better than like Mod Podge and having to fool with all that. And then I put the tacks, and whoops, I didn't want to do that. I put the tacks in the corners just for, I mean, it helps hold it down, but it's really for, I guess, more decorative purposes. But you don't have to do it by any means. I've got it turned wrong. Well, Clyde, get it on there right. Okay, so then just take your little plastic scraper thingy-majiggy and just pull it out to the corners and make sure all your glue's getting down. And then you just tie your bow around the top. So I just took this green ribbons from Hobby Lobby. You can use, you know, assorted things, but this is from, it's just from Hobby Lobby. But you could find a really good orange. This is a good, that's a good stripe. But yeah, there's all kinds of stuff you could use. This would probably work too. Or you could just tie jute around and then just tie some orange fabric. I put a little sisal in there. And then these will be available Thursday night to order, these little carrot cutouts. And we'll have some tags and another little wooden thing that I'll show you. I'll show you Thursday. But anyway, that's what you do. But you can take your tacks. I was going to do that, but it's already late. I know you've seen me do it, but I link them on your sheet and all that. I'm hanging off my chair here trying to get this. But once you get that on, I love that stripe. Do you love the stripe? I love how that looks. I'm going to do it on that one. Well, for Pete's sake, Missy. I was going to do it on this one since I already have it done. Just coming in. Oh, hi, Debbie. Did you have a good class? So you can put these right in the corner. I like them because they're smaller, but you can also get different colored ones. But they're so much, other times they're so much bigger. So now those are from Hobby Lobby, and they're more like just a little nail. But some of them are, like I like that color, but they're kind of big. So it just depends on what you're working on. I like the size of these black ones, and I like it because they have a short, I'm going to call it a shank, I'm not sure. So I may just run these across some sandpaper and then dab, well, I was going to say I may dab some, I've never done this before, I just thought of it. I'm just going to put some, I'm just going to rub it off and then kind of dab some brown paint on it. But you can just stick them right in the corner. I don't try to measure or anything like super precise. But because they have that short little shank, they go right in and they don't bend and stuff like some of the longer ones do. Yeah, I've never sanded that before, but like anyway, you just go on and put those up there, and then that kind of finishes your piece off. So I've not found the smaller ones in brown. Has anyone else? Because I have not. But like Hobby Lobby has them like in the material section against like the Notion wall, and then Lowe's has them in the upholstery tacks. I get these from Amazon, which I did link on your sheet. I can't even get up there to get that one in. So, but anyway, that's that. And then tomorrow night we will do a little project that you can sit with this. That's going to be fun. So I don't know which I like better. I don't know if I like the white or the green, or if I like the orange. I don't know. And then there's that one. What do you think? What you think? Actually, I think this could have been a little creamier in color, actually. I'm going to spatter them real quick because I love how that looks. I'm just going to put a little black and a little brown. My spatter toothbrush is still in the water from last night because I forgot to take my stuff down. I thought of it in bed this morning. I woke up at like 5:30 and I was laying there and I don't know what made me think of it, but I was like, oh, I forgot my brushes. So let's do a little